Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here for checking out the episode. Of course, you know what to do if you like what you see, what you hear. Hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I'm so excited today. I've been following along for a very long time and excited to have him here. Tim Heidecker. He's back with an album too. Slipping away. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Of course, I love your comedy, but this other life that you've had over the years, I mean, seems like for as long as you've been doing the comedy, has been as much fun to follow. And this new record, Slipping Away, I know this is where we would put a compliment at the beginning of the interview, but I really do mean this. This album is so good. It's fun to
Oh,
listen to, and the emotions, like it's
you.
everything I want out of an album. I really mean that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
what's I mean, you've always been doing this, right?
Yeah.
I think if people follow you, they'll know this, but for the people who don't, you've been a musician for what, since your teens?
Yeah, I would say so. It was kind of dual tracks in my life where I loved comedy and loved music. I think that's true, and acting and making things. And so I feel like it's not unusual for, you know, actors who want to make music or musicians who want to act, or because we all kind of start from a place of just wanting to be creative and make stuff, and certain things catch earlier than other things, or you have a certain break in a certain area that leads you to focus on something. But yeah, it's always been it was music was always in my comedy as well. So I kind of honed my craft a little bit by making music for Tim and Eric, and working with our collaborators. So yeah, it's always been a creative outlet for me.
Mhm. You were talking about that creativity too. I was watching one of your most recent official office hours, and it's coincidentally we both had E from Ills on our
Yeah.
shows about the same time. Um, it was always great to talk to. But it's just that idea of that creativity. And like, here's something else, like the office hours, especially like it happened before, then it's always happened, but especially I think pandemic wise, once that hit and everyone said, oh, now I get to be creative inside, it's more of
Hmm.
an insular creativity. And I don't know, do you feel like it's been different, like your avenues to creativity in the past decade as it's sort of looked out here? Because, technology, et cetera, it just looks like
Hmm.
we're all able to stay creative more instead of having to depend on, well, is my agent going to find something?
Yeah, I mean, I learned 10 or so years ago basic rudimentary home recording techniques, and started amassing, guitars and equipment to like be able to start learning how to make stuff on my own. But at the same time, I learned, I think, uh, from a writing place, that I could expand what I write about. I think I was very hesitant to talk to get real, so to speak, or to get sincere, because my comedy was so drenched in irony, and it was so satirical and not really about me. But obviously, when you look deeper, it's all about me. It's like that John Lennon thing when he talked about this "How Do You Sleep" song they wrote about Paul McCartney. I think there's some interviews like, well, all this stuff is just about me. It's not really about anybody else. It's all just sort of. So even in my comedy and my satire, I'm examining in the back of my brain stuff. But to be overtly kind of personal and non-ironic is as a tool, sort of a trait I've picked up in my adult years. So that's a winding answer to your question about, I think, the pandemic. But at the same time, I kind of was able to ingrain myself in this amazing world of musicians here in Los Angeles who are way better than me, and have similar tastes and similar interests and reference points and stuff. So I've been just really lucky to work with phenomenal players who I think elevate my music
Yeah.
beyond measure.
Right. And even just like to allow yourself, as you're saying, to open the doors. I mean, that opens everything wider to what you can pull off, to not have to just think like, oh, that's my brand, that's what I have
Hmm.
to kind of adhere to. You can hear that in this record because there are funny moments. I mean, we get that very first song, Wells Running Dry, which, by the way, very funny way to set up an album, saying I'm out of ideas, but here's a record. You know,
Yeah, yeah, that's
enjoy the
true.
next
That's
45 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, Ellie, my the bass player and very deep collaborator on this record, is like, what an asshole move, like, oh, you don't have any songs. Well, actually, I do. Actually, I do have a bunch of songs. Yeah, yeah.
What's you I think you said this somewhere, like this record was getting even further outside of your comfort zone. Was that a reference to sort of what we're talking about now? Is that a reference to the music side of it? Like what were you talking about?
The music is very much in my comfort zone. The band that I was touring with, the very good band, it's our record. I really wanted to. It's something I haven't really done, which is like really make a record with a band, not just session. And some of them are session players, and I've worked with them before, but this was us kind of doing it together. So that felt very warm. I think the comfort zone that I left is. Um, I think continuing to write songs that uh, tap into deeper fears and deeper anxieties, and also to like try to try this sort of short storytelling format that happens sort of later in the record, and yeah, not and yes, use humor. I think there's humor throughout it, but um, you know, treat some of the songs as a bit of uh, craftsman style songwriting technique of, let's see if I could tell a little, short story here, build characters, and be very sincere about it and not be ironic at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously there are some fan expectations, comedian, musician, which is a little unfair when you're trying to do something like this, I would think, because artists that you've talked about, artists that I love, when we talk about Nielsen or Warren Zevon and Randy Newman.
Hmm.
I mean, no one ever said they were comedian musicians. They're just musicians that happen to
Yeah.
also be great storytellers that happen to also be funny. Like how much of that does that ever nag you? Like there's that those expectations out there that you might have to battle against?
I think with every record it diminishes, and I think it's always going to be there. And if I pay very close attention to it, I will find it. But for the most part now, there are just people in my audience who understand it and like it and are going to like other. Now I'm at that phase where they're like, I liked high school better than Fear of Death, but I'm more of an in Glendale guy. So there's like I've now built, which
Yeah.
always happens. It's like the first wave is always like pretty negative and confused and not. And now there are people who have opinions within this genre of my work that
Right.
can argue about it. So um, yeah, the more you do something, more references people have of it, and they can now start comparing it to each other. But I think the idea of like, is this a joke, is not it is kind of starting to loosen and go melt away into the sea if this idea is an iceberg.
But that's gotta feel great. It's gotta feel great. And especially in this arc of a discography, like you brought up high school. Of course, had that idea or that album in my mind a little bit as I'm hearing songs like Dad of the Year going, well, if high
Hmm.
school is a bit of a concept album, is this record the other side of that coin? Because it feels like it's the
Hmm.
the other part of it.
Yeah, I think all my records, I feel like I need a concept somewhere. I love albums. I don't like records that are just a bunch of random songs and displays of talent and ego. Like I want to like go on a little trip.
Mhm.
And I don't. I don't, maybe there's a musical or a rock opera in me down the line, but I never get too like literal. But yeah, I think high school was very much like a reflection on those years in my younger years that I kind of swept under the rug for a long time. And this is middle age again, and it's also kind of, I like to think of it as like kind of before and after the fall, or something terrible. I feel like it's tapping into this vibe that we all have lately. It's a little different this past couple of weeks because it feels like a little bit of somewhat kind of release of tension or something
Isn't that
with what's
fun
going on in
and
the world.
unexpected? Yeah.
Yeah, but in general, it's been definitely a feeling of kind of dread and not knowing what's coming and fantasizing. There's a lot of media right now that fantasizes about an apocalypse or the what life would be like after an apocalypse. So that's what this record kind of taps into. And I think it's like a side A is sort of like before that, and side B is a little more after that. And I like this. Coming up with titles is always challenging and hard, and I like that slipping away can have this dual meaning. And in the beginning of the record, it's very much like taking some mushrooms and getting away and being happy and lit, and becoming kind of content. And also the side B is slipping away, like everything's slipping away. Everything that we hope is good in the world is feels like it's slipping away. So those are the themes of the record, and I hope that translates when people listen to it.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. I think a lot of people would have flipped those sides, and I think I appreciate the album even more knowing that you didn't. But it's like,
Yeah,
oh, we've got to have a little hope at the end. Although, we have
there is a little
the
hope at the
kid at the
very
end. Is
end.
that your kid? I don't,
Yeah,
or a kid? Yeah.
yeah. That's my daughter Amelia at the very end, and I had her like quadruple stack
Uh-huh.
and we just kind of overdubbed it to get this like sound of a kind of strange chorus. And she was a good sport about it.
Yeah. That music in Bells and Whistles. Man, is that beautiful.
Bells are ringing. Yeah,
Oh,
there's
bells are
no bells.
ringing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no bells and whistles on this
You know what? You know what I did?
one.
That's the new Bright Eyes
Yeah.
single, Bells and Whistles, and I
Oh,
just did
okay.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful recording of, but I think my guitar player Connor has all these pedals and sounds that he can get. He's all these like echoes and delays and synth things that run through his guitar and just make such a beautiful palette.
Yeah. Bows and arrows. And I'm thinking that line in there, considering what you just said, but was it the cockroaches are going to be fine? It's
Yeah, the cockroaches. That's kind of an old. After
yeah.
I don't remember not thinking that when the nukes come, the cockroaches will be left.
There's the bit of hope right there. The cockroach is going to be fine.
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
know. I don't. That's been on. You're right. That's been on my mind. It's been in the interviews a lot too. There was a point where a lot of my interviews, people were starting to write about like space, or
Hmm.
universe, moon, whatever, and it made sense because I'm like, oh, that's an escapist thing. That just
Yeah,
it comes up in the zeitgeisty sort of way, where everybody's doing it, nobody's really talking about it, but they're all doing it at the same time. And it's like that makes sense in this escape moment, and then that hopelessness moment. I remember I was doing an interview. It was with Josh Homme,
hmm,
who's way more optimistic than you know he deserves to be.
yeah.
He's great to talk to. But the whole conversation was like, what if nothing, though? What if nothing, none of it matters? None of this matters.
Oh,
It's
yeah, yeah.
not a
Well,
game,
that
and it's just, here we go. And that's a weird place to lose yourself in musically. It's
yeah, I'm not there yet. That might be the next record.
So even I appreciate those little moments about the cockroaches and your kid is what I'm saying. I also wanted to bring up that this song, "Hey, Would You Call My Mom for Me?" First off, great melody.
Thank you.
Really great melody. Um, it was playing through my speakers, and I guess my phone was right here, and I've never seen this happen before. I mean, you have the Big Brother things where it's like, oh, now my ads
Yeah,
are all about whatever.
yeah.
It was playing, and Waze, the traffic app, came up and asked me if I needed to find a shelter if I
Oh
was in
my
need of a
God.
shelter.
Wow. Yeah, that's heavy. That was a very that was a song we were up on tour up in Vancouver, and if you've ever been to Vancouver, and a lot of cities have this now, but Vancouver's kind of famous for a sort of a district that's just like zombie town. I
Yeah.
mean, it is scary. It is very disturbing. And I was walking around, and a kid, like I was walking around in the morning, and there wasn't really anyone around, and this kid he asked me that. He said, "Would you call my mom?" And I was like, I didn't. I kind of froze, and I just gave him money. I didn't because he was. I didn't want to get. I didn't know how to deal with that situation. You know,
Sure.
it was like I gave him $20 and said, "I'm sorry, I don't know how to get in touch with your mom." It wasn't very cogent, but it stuck with me so much. And I mean, it was definitely, feeling after the pandemic, this really a lot of in LA, a lot of homeless encampments. And I didn't want to write that. It was a terrible Genesis song called Living in Paradise or something.
Right.
And it was all these homeless people in the street. So again, vulnerable but honest. And it was just this riff I just kept playing on tour every backstage with this acoustic guitar we had, and I couldn't get it out of my head, so I had to record it.
Yeah. I'm glad you did. Like I said, it's one of my favorite moments of the record. I really do think so. Um,
Thank you.
so you're going to cover the Genesis song live when you play that, though, right? That's
Yeah, we'll keep the energy positive.
You're playing some show. Did I see with you're playing several people in Snowmail, but Waxahatchee. You got Katie.
Yeah,
You doing opening for Katie?
yeah. I We share the same manager, so that
Mhm.
helped, and we're friends. And Ellie, my bass player, is her bass player. So there's a lot of
Nice.
cross currents going on there. I'm friends with her and friends with Kevin, her partner,
Mhm.
Kevin Morby. So we have mutual admirers of each other.
Yeah, her
I'll look
record,
forward to that.
just incredible. Every single time. I'm such a big
Yeah.
fan of what she does. Every time she's on, we end up talking about Michael Stipe. I think most of the interview. So that also is.
I have a distinct memory of hearing her on the radio when her last record came out, St. Cloud. And I'm always suspicious of these new art. I'm just like, wax a what? Get out! Like, and all right, and come on, this is the new flavor. Let me hear. Is this going to be? It's going to be the same old shit, same old stuff. And I was like, this is great. Oops, I like this.
Oops.
I'm actually really into this.
It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
So you got the tour then. The album comes out October 18th. You got the official office hours. That's just go on endlessly.
I guess, yeah, I don't see a way out. I think I'm trapped. I love doing it, and it's a lot of fun actually. So I'm happy to keep doing it. And yeah, just my career is one big weird mess that just did a bunch of acting, so there'll be a bunch of
Mhm.
movies and stuff coming out next year that I'm in. And
What's that Y2K,
um,
right? Y2.
yeah, I was going to write Kyle. I'm not sure when that's coming out, but
That's December.
oh, it
That
is
one.
okay.
Yeah. I'm really interested because like I haven't seen the clip. I wasn't there, was it South by? I didn't go this year. I think it did some premiering there, but just the concept of this, I don't know anything about it other than it's A24 and the
Yeah,
millennial moment. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in
I'm
for
sure
this, I
it's
think.
great. I got to be married. My wife in the movie was oh God, I'm blanking on her name. What's her from from oh what I'm blanking on everything about her. You could look it up.
I can look it up.
Um, yeah, she was in Clueless. What's her name?
Alicia Silverstone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Right.
We played mom and dad in that movie, so I
Oh,
got to
nice.
hang out with her a bunch. It was pretty fun.
That's a fun way to do it.
Yeah.
And more movies beyond that, I think is what you were saying.
More movies beyond that. Yep, I'm in the new Star Trek reboot as Captain Kirk. So that'll be no,
Is
I'm
that
just kidding.
true?
No. I just like the way
There's enough
that sounded.
animation out there that I believed you there for a second. I was like, that's possible. Why wouldn't it be possible?
Yeah, could do a good Kirk.
There's enough of that out there. I really do love this record. And I mean that. I really do
Thanks,
love
man.
this record.
Thank you.
I added Wells Running Dry to rotation at WFPK, so we're going to start spinning that and getting that out there.
Nice.
So hopefully I'll be able to see one of these shows as well.
Yeah,
Um,
we were in Louisville last summer at the in Slaughtertown or whatever, Butchertown.
Butchertown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a trip. That was a great show though.
You get that on
Um,
the Whirling Tiger, I guess is where you probably
yeah,
were.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was really. We had Bonnie Prince Billy come up and do a song with me, so
Nice. Yeah.
real pleasure.
He's usually riding around on his bike with his little puppy in his backpack. That's where I see Will a lot of the time. He's got a little puppy keeps in his backpack.
Nice.
Yeah. Something about that that mystery of Bonnie Prince Billy that we had in the 90s. And then you see him just, little.
He's just dad. I know. I real quick, I had the same experience about 10, 15 years ago. My wife and I became friends with Charles Thompson, aka Frank Black from the
Mhm.
Pixies, and his wife. And he, at the time, they had a bunch of young kids. They were living outside of Portland, and I went up to stay with them for the weekend. And it just blew my mind because I was in this minivan with Frank Black driving around a bunch of kids and him wearing Crocs and shorts. And I'm like, this isn't, I was a huge Pixies freak when I was in high school. And I'm like, this is just a dad, he's a
Just
cool guy. He's cool as hell. But it was definitely like how I think about my life now too. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to work Crocs and dad shorts and go to the mall with my kids and all is well.
yeah. Let the demystification happen on its own when you run into someone.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
Yeah.
I've been in the bakery with the Slint guys. That's its own thing. Thinking of more in that scene from around here, it's
Yeah.
oh, which scone are you getting? Yeah, that's breadcrumb trails. I guess there was a joke there. Anyway, I'll
Well, it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear first reactions of the record because no one's heard it yet. And so thanks for making me feel good about it. Let's
right
hope
on,
to hear
man.
it.
I do enjoy it. Congrats on it, man, and thanks for taking the time to talk about it.
Yeah, nice talking to you.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.